Mass media and Silicon Valley censorship has seriously gone into overdrive. So I want to tell you about a new social network that could be an answer to this oppression. Each user gets a free personal website on the blockchain that can be discovered by all the other users of PocketNet. Viewers of this channel get a special offer when you sign up and earn a reputation of 10, which will happen after only a few posts or comments. You'll get a bonus of 10 PocketNet coin. So this is your chance to get in early, build your reputation, and defend your right to speech on the platform of the future. Hey guys, it's KJ from the Scariest Movie Ever channel on YouTube. And I still find it interesting how often we find entertainment mirroring our reality in some of the strangest ways. For many years here on my channel, I've been talking about how the veil is lifting. I've also been showing you examples of how the beast system is manifesting before our very eyes. And what you're looking at here is a perfect example of that. Recently, a gigantic statue of the pagan Canaanite deity known as Molech has been erected right at the entrance of the Roman Colosseum. The exact same Colosseum where countless numbers of Christians were martyred for their faith is now home for one of the most monstrous pagan deities that the world has ever seen. It's important to note that this isn't just some random ancient deity. In Leviticus 18:21, the people of Israel are specifically warned against sacrificing their children to this monster. And in Jeremiah 32:35, we're told that this is precisely what many of the people of Israel ended up doing as they fell away from the Lord. The way that the babies were sacrificed was truly horrific. The ancients would heat this idol up with fire until it was glowing, and then they would take their newborn babies, place them on the arms of the idol, and watch them burn to death. So it's not just the statue of Molech at the Roman Colosseum that we're talking about here. That, in and of itself, is a very obvious sign of the beast system manifesting. But there have been other signs.
When Israel turned away from God, when Israel drove God out of its life, out of its public square, the gods came in. Baal, Ashtoreth, Molech, all the gods came in. And this is a principle that when you turn away from God, in some way, when you drive God out, nature abhors a vacuum, even spiritually. We were made to worship. So if you take God out, other gods will come in. In Hebrew, it's actually one of the mysteries in the Book of Mysteries. The word Elohim is the word for God, but it's a plural word. If you turn away from Elohim, you will turn to your other Elohim, the gods. Because Elohim also means the false gods, and yet it means the true God who's majestic. So even if, it doesn't matter if you're secular or whatever you are, if you turn away from God, you're going to go after idols. And you may not call them that if you're secular, but it doesn't matter if you're an atheist, you're going to do that. And same not only with people, but also with a civilization. When a civilization removes God, it always turns to other gods, even when it doesn't call it such. For instance, look at the Soviet Union, look at Russia. They turned away from God, and then what did they do? They made communism the god. They made the state became the god. They worshiped their leaders as gods. If a nation strikes down the ways of God, like the Supreme Court strikes down God's ways, they are appointing themselves God. They are saying, we make what is right and wrong. We define that. You are making yourself God when you're the center of the universe. So if the state says we are not under God anymore, then the state is saying it is God. So either way, even in the 21st century, even though we may not call it as such, if you drive out God, you will end up worshiping the gods, and those gods will be gods of your destruction.
We're seeing a return of the Temple of Baal. Palmyra's Arch of Triumph was built by the Romans in the 3rd century AD, and it served as the entrance to the Temple of Baal. These are literally the archways they would walk through to sacrifice their children on the other side. Palmyra's Temple of Baal was converted to a Christian church by the Romans, and later it became an Islamic mosque used by Muslims, but it was destroyed by ISIS in 2015. The Arch of Triumph at the entrance was the last to be destroyed in October 2015. Yet by these arches being destroyed, it's become even more well known, and they're actually making a comeback. The Institute for Digital Archaeology, based in the UK, along with partners such as Dubai Future Foundation and UNESCO, recreated the Arch of Baal using 3D technology and a robotic drilling machine to carve a 2/3 scale model out of the Egyptian marble. It's interesting because the original just happened to be 27 feet tall, so a perfect .666 scale model turned out to be 18 feet, or 666. The construction dimensions are only part of the story because the arch was created to make a world tour, and the timing and locations have turned out to be very interesting. The Arch of Triumph made its debut in London's Trafalgar Square on April 19th through the 21st, 2016, which coincided with the start of Beltane, a very important and wicked pagan holiday on the Satanic calendar. And next it appeared in New York City at City Hall Park on September 18th through the 24th, 2016, which then coincided with the United Nations General Assembly, also the fall equinox, which is also considered a satanic holiday. Finally, it was set up in Dubai, February 12th through the 14th, 2017, which happened to coincide with the World Governments Summit. From there it went to Florence, Italy, March 27th to April 27th, 2017, which coincided with the first ever G7 Cultural Summit. The Arch of Baal was also displayed on the National Mall in Washington, D.C., September 26th through the 29th, 2018, which once again corresponded to the United Nations General Assembly. So we can see here that the Arch of Baal has been set up during a major satanic holiday and at least 4 world summits. More evidence of what I've been saying for many years, that the beast system is here and it's manifesting before our very eyes.
You're the one who's saying a woman is more important than the baby.
Yes.
So you're the one who's saying one is more important than the other.
The baby is not a baby yet.
Baby is not a baby.
Nope, it is a ball of cells. It is a zygote. It is an embryo.
Are you a Satanist?
You know what? They're better than you are. I've worked with them before, actually. I've talked with the Church of Satan. They're very nice people, and they actually take care of their people and are better advocates for human life than you are. I have worked with them in the past.
You work with the Satanists.
Yes, to separate church and state from people like you.
The idea of the devil, evil incarnate, has irresistible symbolic force, and the character of Lucifer inhabits our greatest literature from Paradise Lost to Faust. But what about the devil not as a symbol, but as an actual willful being, a fallen angel in Christian belief that can not only affect human events, but enter human bodies? Tonight we go inside the controversial and extraordinary rite of exorcism with my co-anchor Terry Moran for our series, Faith Matters.
It burns! In Hollywood, exorcisms are full of spooky special effects and terrifying images. As in, most famously, the film, The Exorcist.
Emily, can you hear me?
Or there's the battle with the devil in the movie, The Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Demons exist, whether you believe in them or not.
But exorcism is more, much more than just fodder for horror flicks. It is one of the most dramatic, profoundly moving, and profoundly controversial of all religious practices.
Oh, no!
Leave.
No! No!
Leave now, I command you.
And in real life, this rare footage shows
command
what
you to
actually
leave now.
happens in an exorcism.
Oh, don't let her go.
I would do things that I wouldn't necessarily do, but so intense that it was like I was almost a puppet.
Becky Parker is her name. She was possessed by demons, she firmly believes, and she has been saved, she affirms, by the love of God through the rite of exorcism.
I'm happy because I found God. I found how to win the spiritual battle I was in.
Tell me your name in the name of Jesus Christ.
A spiritual battle. That's what the experience of exorcism feels like to those who go through it.
Speak the truth. Speak the truth.
And those who perform it.
I do it because I think it's an incredibly profound opportunity to help in the healing ministry that this is fundamentally about. And in a ministry where people are suffering tremendously.
Father Gary Thomas is an exorcist, though he did not perform Becky Parker's exorcism. That priest preferred to remain anonymous.
This is Jesus.
But Father Gary was trained in Rome, and for the past several years, he's been the official exorcist of the Diocese of San Jose, California.
Father, is the devil real? I do believe the devil is real. I've had occurrences and experiences in my life where I believe I've seen the devil. I've seen demons. But you don't see Satan in the same way that you and I are looking at each other.
There's plenty of evil in the world. God knoweth that, you might say. Plenty of cruelty, mayhem, and murder. But the devil?
Satan is a pure spirit. He's an angel who fell. Certainly when I've been involved in the ministry of exorcism and at times prayed with people who have had a demonic attachment, I have seen Satan.
Faith versus doubt, the sacred versus the profane. That's the age-old conflict that exorcism crystallizes. And it's the conflict at the heart of the latest Hollywood take on the subject, the rite.
The interesting thing about skeptics, atheists, is that we're always looking for proof, certainty. Question is, what on earth would we do if we found it?
Anthony Hopkins, in a bravura performance, plays an exorcist, Colin O'Donoghue, a young seminarian full of skepticism at the rite.
That's not the devil. It's just a very, very sick girl. She doesn't need a priest. She needs a shrink.
The seminarian's character is loosely based on Father Gary Thomas and his experience training as an exorcist. How do you know that someone is possessed by a demon rather than just someone who's under tremendous psychological strain?
There are specific signs. For example, if a person has an aversion to walking into a church and not being able to view a crucifix or an image of Christ. Another sign could very well be if a person possesses a competency in a language that they otherwise couldn't speak. They can take on a serpentine look and coil up in a very serpentine body language manner, and I've seen that happen.
I was shaking, I was screaming, I was different languages.
Becky Parker says she was possessed by as many as 8 demons over many, many years.
I know what they look like. I know how big they are. I know where they are in my body.
You feel they're still there?
No, they're gone.
She's triumphed over a tough life. She says she was a victim of abuse as a child, turned to decades of drug abuse, worked as a prostitute, dabbled in the occult. Then she met Barbara Ganji, a documentary filmmaker who was making a movie about exorcism for Paulist Productions, a Catholic movie house. ABC News has licensed her footage.
Becky was part of a landscape crew that I had never seen her before, never met her, she'd never been to my house. She came to my door, knocked on the door and said, "Could I use your bathroom?" And I said, "Sure."
I was working on the yard and I was sober, clean, and just doing what I could.
And when she stepped out, her eyes went dark, her face distorted, and she started snarling at me, and she said, in this very strange voice, "You don't know what you're messing with. We hate you."
I wasn't even thinking. And then I ended up on the floor right here and contorting and screaming.
It was the turning point of Becky's life. Barbara Ganji put her in contact with a local Catholic priest who said the prayers of deliverance over her while Barbara's cameras rolled.
Speak, I command you, in the name of Jesus.
What was it like to have the priest pray the prayers of deliverance over you?
I hated him. Like, I wanted to hurt him. It took everything for me not to. I was wanting to kick him and spit on him, and hurt him and get away from him.
In that process, do you remember feeling that there were demons being expelled? Do you remember feeling being liberated, delivered?
Yeah.
What's your name? You remember that?
Yeah.
What was it like?
The first time it happened was the most intense. My body totally collapsed. I never felt that type of relaxation.
Are you there, Becky?
Yes.
What's her name?
And so she was delivered. Becky is drug-free, married, and writing a book on her journey now. Some would say she was saved from the devil. Others argue she was mentally broken and the priest put her life at risk.
People who are in that kind of condition are oftentimes potentially suicidal. And if they're not getting the proper treatment, they could kill themselves.
The Catholic Church requires outside medical and psychological examinations before exorcisms are approved by local bishops. Still, skepticism abounds. Father, you know there are going to be plenty of people watching this who are going to look at you and listen to you and say you're a charlatan. How do you answer someone who says that?
To believe that there's a Satan is an act of faith, a leap of faith, in the same way that to say I can believe in God or I have a personal relationship with God is a leap of faith. In the same way when an atheist says, I really firmly cannot believe that God exists, that's also a leap of faith to believe in the denial of God.
Demons, Satan, and the very real suffering in so many human lives. Exorcisms have been part of human religion since time immemorial. And today, in this modern world, the right is making a comeback.